I'm Tom Farmer, a management consultant focused on total rewards, which is an HR function and a business function. It's an HR function because compensation and benefits reports into human resources. It's a business function because we guide the spending of the biggest expense in most companies, or at least the biggest fixed expense, which is people, salaries. And so that's what I do. I've been doing this for 40 years. I've been living in Singapore for 17 years. Most recently, I have moved to Seoul, South Korea, opening a branch office here. My experience includes about half corporate roles. I've been the global head of compensation and benefits for 5 companies. I've managed over 50 people cumulatively, up to 11 at a time, and in that area. And so this covers compensation, salaries, bonuses, incentive plans, allowances. It includes benefits, health care, retirement, paid time off. It also covers global mobility, cost of living allowance, hardship allowance, company paid education for the kids, relocation, tax, immigration, all those kinds of things. I've also consulted. I spent 5 years with Hewitt Associates, which is now part of Aon, doing compensation work for Southeast US clients. So my market included Atlanta, Georgia, Washington, DC, the state of Florida, all the way down to New Orleans. So it was quite a broad stretch, Virginia, Alabama. My clients included private sector, education, government-linked corporations, and everything else, many, many different industries. I also, in Asia, was with Mercer for a couple of years as a principal doing global mobility consulting, leading that practice for Asia Pacific. So when it comes to moving talent across borders in Asia, actually around the world, I could probably help you out with that kind of stuff. So that's my experience. As an external consultant, I have advised 250 companies easily. You've probably heard of Toyota, Marriott, I mentioned Coca-Cola, the Home Depot in the US, massive company. You may not have heard of PTT Group, largest company in Southeast Asia. Sinopec, largest company in the world, at least recently. And why is it relevant or important? I think this profession of compensation and benefits, or we call it total rewards, it's the art and science of attracting and retaining talent and maximizing value for money for that investment. This is the largest fixed expense in most companies. I'd say that's probably the main reason why it's relevant. It's also relevant because while people join companies and stay with companies for a wide range of reasons, the pay and the benefits is always one of them. It's never not important to the employee to have competitive and fair pay and benefits that take care of the family and so forth. So that's why it's important and why it's relevant. Second question, the typical challenges faced by external consultants and how you manage them. CEOs typically look to their HR department to handle all HR matters and to help managers with employee matters. The typical challenges we face are challenges that involve managerial courage, or which involve expertise, which the client HR department may lack, or they just don't have the time and the ability to focus on something, but that they can get approval for a budget to just get something done that they could have done themselves if they had time. The challenges we face are working with a company that made its own mess, but need help getting out of it. And I can't really talk too freely or identify any clients, but these messes include inability to effectively hire and retain the talent that they need. Now, how can an HR department fail in that? That's their core mission. I'll tell you why. Because HR departments are busy. They're expected to focus on administration and compliance with the laws and so on. And often they feel they don't have time to think strategically, to think in terms of alternatives to how they're doing things. In fact, they may not even know how to describe how they're doing things currently, because to them, that's just the way they do these things. If they worked at a previous company, they could say, well, we used to do it this way at my previous company. So they have 2 data points, okay? Where how they did it in the previous company and how they're doing it now in their current company. Okay. And if they had 3 jobs or 3 companies, they have 3 data points. Well, we did it this way here, and here's what we do now. A consultant brings potentially hundreds of data points and at least, maybe a dozen different exposures within that same industry or relevant industries. So the challenges that we bring is to help the client open their mind to other way of doing things and to think logically in business logic in a way that leads them to the best solution, not benchmarking to a strategy. That's not strategy. Okay. There's a tendency, one, to keep doing what you've been doing because everybody's used to it, whether it's effective or not. At least it's the way you've always been doing it, and no one ever got in trouble for doing what everyone else does. And many people just simply go along doing what they're doing. They inherited it, they didn't make it up, but that's just the way we do things. That's the first trap. And we try to bring courage and alternatives and logical thinking. And when I say logical, again, I'm not talking about HR so-called best practices. I'm not talking about what the survey says 70% of companies are doing or 95% of companies are doing. That doesn't mean it's right. It just means you won't get in trouble if you do it because, well, everyone else does it. No one ever got in trouble for doing what everyone else does, right? So that's one of the challenges, is to break the mindset of not getting in trouble. Break the mindset of we should stick to the norm, either what we've always been doing or what other companies do, okay? Or then there's the challenge of getting them off of hearsay. Oh, we heard that Google does this, or Tesla does this, or NVIDIA does this, or Netflix does this. We should do that. Okay, sometimes the CEO brings those ideas in, and sometimes they're right. But just to do something because a successful company does it doesn't mean it's going to work for you. Okay. So yeah, those are the challenges. Some of the challenges include getting past HR, who think they know better. That we bring in a consultant, they feel threatened, and but that's not usually the case because we work very hard to work with HR to develop HR, expand their thinking, equip them to sell new ideas. Change management and executive buy-in, that's a challenge. I ask my clients during the kickoff meeting, I say, what's going to cause this project to fail? Now, it sounds kind of negative, right? Just do a timeline, get to work, and it'll work, right? Now, when you get to the implementation stage, and sometimes we help the client with implementation, and sometimes we don't. But whether we're there or not, when the client organization gets to the point of implementation, there often could be a very senior person in that company. It could be the one leading the business unit that's making the most money. They just say, I don't know if we're ready for this thing yet. And it's dead. It's just dead on arrival. Okay, organ rejection. It just isn't going to go forward. And so I don't like that to happen. So what I generally do is I ask always in every project for an opportunity to talk with the CEO. Yeah, because the CEO, if they say we're going to do this, they are calculating in their mind who might resist it. They know who the players are, who the actors are, and they know who's going to shoot the thing down and maybe need the most help implementing. So I want to hear the CEO. I want to ask the CEO, what's your measure of success? What's your measure of success? And we give them options. We can go all the way. We can go partially. We can do a pilot test, proof of concept, whatever you want to call it. But this is one of the big challenges, is buy-in. Yeah. Okay, so the key qualities of a good external consultant, along with any tips for aspiring consultants in the future. Key qualities of a good consultant, and you say external consultant, but I think there can be internal consultants. I had a staff of 11 people at one company, including senior compensation consultant, 2 of them actually, and a senior benefits consultant. So there are consulting skills that you need, whether you're in an in-house role. Business partnering is consulting. So being an external consultant is very similar to being a business partner, except that a business partner has a performance rating, both from HR and from their business unit leader or function leader, and they're kind of balancing to try to make both happy. We come in independently. If they don't like what we say, they'll fire us. That's fine. We'll move on. We don't have just one company that we depend on. So we can be independent, and that's a big part of the value proposition. So the skills, listening, ask the right questions. Being a consultant does not mean we have all the answers. The better you are at figuring out what's the best next question, the better you'll be as a consultant. Do not say, where's the survey? Let's benchmark what other companies do. You fail. You're not a consultant. You're a guinea pig. You're a lemming. You're just following the herd, okay? A consultant does not instinctively reach for the surveys and benchmark, because that's playing not to lose. That's not playing to win. So you have to ask the questions, what's broken and why? Because the solution is not one thing. The solution is one main thing and three supporting things. For example, you might need a new incentive plan, but part of the bonuses have been tied to individual performance based on performance ratings. And you find that the performance rating system is not seen as fair. So you better deal with that. Because if people think the performance rating system is fair, and then you tie pay to that rating, people will think the pay is unfair also, okay? Manager capability might be one of those contributing factors, all right? You can benchmark, you can design an incentive plan, but if managers have some discretion, if managers have to rate people's KPIs or communicate what the goals are and build line of sight by explaining how each person can help move the needle, that's called building line of sight. But manager capability is lacking, you're going to have a problem, okay? So you have to ask the right questions, because designing a new incentive plan will fail if people don't trust the performance management system, if managers don't know how to set goals fairly, consistently, and other things are not working, okay? Ask the right questions, okay? So yeah, again, if bonuses are tied to the performance rating in some way, ask, how is the performance management system working? Are there any problems with that? Oh yeah, some people don't think managers are fair. So how do you deal with that? Do you train the managers? No, the managers just send people to go ask HR and complain to HR. That's a problem. That's a problem. So I suggest training managers, and I do that for several clients. Ask the right questions to figure out what's broken. It's like a doctor, okay? They take x-rays, they use the stethoscope, they listen to your lungs, they have you do this and do that, and they check this and check that and ask you if you've been losing weight, are you eating well, are you sleeping well? Be like a doctor, ask questions. Be like a detective, ask questions. With experience, we get to know what are the typical culprits, what are the typical contributing factors to the problem. Therefore, the solution will have multiple dimensions, not just one. Okay? Ask the right questions. Number two, once you understand the problem, state it. Make a problem statement. Make a problem statement. The client probably doesn't have a well-articulated problem statement. What they have is sales blaming HR that the sales commission plan doesn't motivate, or operations people complaining that the sales people are selling things that are impossible to deliver, or the marketing people complaining that they need to reorganize. And somehow every reorganization in marketing goes from having one VP and two directors to having three VPs and five directors. Magic happens every time. You have to understand the different dimensions of a problem, have different dimensions for the solution, understand their business. How do they make money? You have to understand their business. You cannot just come in again with benchmark data. You really have to play dumb and ask questions. Learn, learn, learn. Take an interest in the business. You're helping them run a more effective business. You're not just selling hot dogs. Okay, oh, you want a hamburger? Here's a hamburger. You want a hot dog? You're not just taking orders and delivering. You have to be the doctor. Ask the right questions and diagnose what's going on. Other skills, obviously communication, persuasion, and I'll say influence. And it really, really helps to have corporate experience. Corporate experience makes a consultant a much better consultant, I'm sorry to say, but it's true. Consultants lacking corporate experience will be very limited. They are likely to depend heavily on benchmark data to have the answers. That's not how it works. It just doesn't work. That's a commodity. That's a commodity. There may be only 1 or 2 or 3 providers of such surveys, but come on, strategy does not sit in a survey report. That's just information on what people commonly do. Doesn't mean it's effective. Doesn't mean it's effective. Okay, so experience, influence. Yeah, influence, communication, build credibility, build trust. How do you build trust? By informing and educating people with patience. Especially educate your client, help your client develop into a rock star, HR rock star. I try to make my clients look good. Many of my clients have gotten promotions following the projects, and so that's nice. Actually, it's very nice because then they have more spending authority. They can afford more budgets for me. Ask questions, communicate with influence, and this is where experience is critical. Experience is critical. Until you have experience, focus on asking questions and facilitating a good conversation, and listen. Listen to what they say. Take an interest. Ask why. Ask why. Like the quality people, they ask why 5 times. Be world class at asking questions. And then learn to communicate, educate, and influence. Analytical skills are critical. Don't be quick to judge. Don't be quick to diagnose. Think, think, think. Give yourself time to think. Consultants need time to come up with solutions. You have to think. You can't be rushed into a really good solution. Now, if the consulting gig is for administration or running an interim function and there's things that got to get done, okay, fine. Fast, fast, fast. But well-crafted solutions will last a long time. Will last a long time. If you want your solutions to be sustainable, there has to be a lot of thinking behind them. And so you have to be patient and analytical in your thinking. There's alternatives to just about everything. You're not just an expert. You have to know how to run a business. You have to know how to write proposals. You have to know how to prepare contracts and so on. Proposals is really a conversation, and then it's a piece of paper. The conversation is to understand their needs, the dimensions of their problem. You listen to what solution elements they think they need, and then you add to that or subtract from it to describe the kind of solution you think probably they need, and understand the timing. And if they have anything they can say about their budget, find out. And then you say, would it be helpful if I prepared something in writing with a suggested approach, timeline, fees, for you? And they'll say, yes, please. So you never even use the word proposal. Would it be helpful if I prepare something in writing for you, describing what I see as your situation, the problem, what the solution might entail, the approach methodology that we would think would be effective, and the estimated timing and fees. And they'll say, oh yeah, that'd be great, thank you. That's all there is. And then you go back and write it. And that's where you make your money, is writing the proposal. That's literally where you make your money. You don't write the proposal, you won't make the money. If you write a good proposal, you get the job and you make your money. So to me, that's extremely important skill, and that's a big part of managing as a business. Well, there's a whole lot more I could say, but I hope this has been helpful for you. It's been fun to reflect on these things. I'll probably think of other things beyond this. So there you go.